Hey guys, Hannah Bell, family lawyer with another Family Law 101. You might have guessed it. We're still trudging through temporary orders, but we are on part 4 of 5. So we're like almost there. I can see the finish line. This is how you're going to feel about getting temporary orders, by the way. It's going to feel similar. But okay, so far we talked about, okay, what are these wonky things? How do I know if one's been set in my case? Do I want them, right? So now let's talk about probably the most important thing I can share with you is how to get prepared. Because we're going to be like good boy and girl scouts, and we're going to be prepared. All right, so let's do it. So one thing to kind of explain why this can get a little stressful is oftentimes temporary orders come in the very beginning of a case, and it seems like nothing happens. Boom, everything happens. So like you're very unhappily married, and then all of a sudden you are filing a divorce petition and you're trying to serve somebody, and oh, by the way, temporary orders are next week. So it can happen pretty quick. Now, kind of a caveat, you have to get the judge's permission to do it before their answer period and the 20-day whole thing. But anyway, just trust me that it can happen pretty fast. So you need to save yourself money and set yourself up in the best possible position to do well and to present your side of things and hopefully get what it is you want and what you think it is that's best for you and for your family and for your kids and whatever. Okay, so as soon as your lawyer starts talking to you about temporary orders, you need to think like, where is my pen and my paper and my notebook? So you have to think about it. I kind of split the way I think about it. So you've got money and house related things, and then you've got kid related things. And let's just talk about the money part first. I think the most important thing to consider here is kind of getting the numbers together, because you're going to be talking to a judge who doesn't know anything about you guys. They don't know how much money you make. They don't know who normally pays what or how it all practically works. And you got to go in because y'all can't agree. You got to solve this problem, right? So there in Travis County, they call it a proposed support decision. So that sounds like, I've always found that kind of a weird title, but basically I call it the client budget sheet. And in Bexar County typically will have, and this is in Texas, but this is probably something like this in other states, but I'll use that same form from Travis County, because what you do is you break down what are your monthly expenses and what is each person's income. And that kind of starts to give the judge the picture of like how this family works, what money is needed to keep everybody in basically the same spot. Now, one word of advice there, like, whenever you're filling out that budget sheet, it's not like the time to be scrimpy. Like, okay, well, if I use coupons at H-E-B, I only need to spend $100 a week in groceries to feed me and my 3 kids. I mean, every mother and father who does grocery shopping knows you ain't doing it for $100 a week, right? So don't think in terms of like, how cheap can I make this? But try to be realistic, plus like sort of what would your normal budget look like? Because the way this sheet works, like, okay, here's how much I make, here's how much things cost, and here's either the surplus or the deficit. And, often for the person who will be the primary parent, maybe there is a deficit, right? And the judge is going to be thinking like, hey, child support, temporary spousal support, what is needed to sort of balance this out? So you're going to need to fill out the budget sheet. You probably need to be ready to prepared to prove up some of that. You're going to sign it. I think you swear to that, right? So that's evidence or gives it credibility because you're swearing to it under penalty of perjury and all. But, just kind of start gathering up documentation for what your rent is, if you have a lease, if you have a mortgage, things like that. So start to, I guess, and it depends on how you do things. Like, are you a computer person? Do you need to get folders in Evernote or in your email? Or are you like let me go to the file person? Your lawyer is going to end up needing these things in a scanned electronic way. So, hey, save yourself some money. Even if you're a paper person, get you a scanner and scan all that stuff in and save it by PDF, like mortgage statement from this. This is your whole case advice. Like, save yourself a lot of time and money by doing that yourself. Keep it super organized. So, okay, there's that. Then you need to start thinking in terms of living. Like, temporary orders, there may be, if y'all are fighting over who gets to stay in the house, your lawyer may request a kick out, right? Like make him or her leave and say that you get to stay. And that happens. Like the judge is most likely not going to make two people getting divorced, especially if there's kids, to stay in the same house. So you need to think through, say you want the house. Okay, so you're going to be thinking like, I'm getting the house, that's it. But don't get too big for your britches, because you might not get the house. So you need to think in terms of contingencies, right? So if I didn't get the house, and where would you move? Like, what do apartments go for, or rental houses in your school district, or whatever? You need to have those numbers sort of ready, because that may come up. The judge may say, well, hey, what would it cost for you to get a 3-2 for you and the kids and the dogs to leave the house if he stays, or whatever? So you need to have done that research about alternatives. So like what your ideal scenario would be, but think through other options if you don't get what you want, because judges don't like it if you look cocky, like you assume because you're the mom, the kids are going to stay with you. Like, you would be wrong to assume that. That's not a thing. And I mean, I'm not saying there isn't, depending on which county you're in, it may or may not impact on which judge and all that, but don't go in there and think, well, I'm the mom, I'm going to get the kids and I'm going to get the house. Wrong. Okay, I mean, that may happen, but it's not because that's just the way it works or anything. So, okay, got the budget worksheet. That's available on Travis County's website, I think, so you could pull that up and tailor it for yourself. It'd be nice if you could get a PDF form and fill it out, like type it so it's all neat and tidy. Your lawyer will probably do that for you if you don't do it. Okay, then you're gonna think about housing options. And then if there's any other sort of big ticket money things that need to occur, those can get brought up, and your lawyer can work with you to think about those, but mostly it's about the house and rent and support related decisions. The other thing is, speaking of support, would be you're going to need to have pay stubs. And it's great if you already have your future the X Factors pay stubs, like in a folder somewhere or something. But you'll need pay stubs so that a judge could calculate child support, and so your lawyer could bring that proposed amount with you. So, if you can go back a whole year, do that, so your lawyer has something to work with. A lot of times they'll take like the last 3 months, the last 6 months, the year end from the year prior, and work the numbers off that. They'll also want your tax returns, so maybe bring at least get to your lawyer the last couple years of tax returns so they can kind of crunch the numbers. And they're going to need that to be able to introduce as evidence at your hearing, but also to use to prepare you, so you'll kind of know what to expect of what could happen, whichever way this goes. So you've got support related documents and calculations, you've got your budget document, and you've got the backup documentation with that, and then you've got stuff about the house. I think that's the main stuff on the money. If you have, this is not really getting into if y'all have a small business, or that's a whole different other thing, but just your basic stuff for a basic hearing. Okay, now on the other part, you need to think in terms of kids, right? And who does what, and sort of a day in the life. And you need to be thinking through, like I have a client homework sheet that I give clients, that I have them walk through, like who puts kids to bed, who does homework, who takes to all the doctor's appointments, and start thinking of, how can I demonstrate that? How can I prove it? Your lawyer may want to get medical records from the doctor's office, school records. Like if you're saying, oh, my husband can't have the kids because he takes them late every single time he takes them. He takes them at 15 minutes late, and that's very bad for their education and whatever. Or you may say, well, I need to have the kids because I have always been the one to take them to doctors. I'm the one who takes them the shots and deals with the ADHD and whatever that is. So you can say that, and that's evidence because it's testimony, but it'll be a lot more persuasive if you can support it. And that takes time. So like, this is probably where you need to start, because if you have to subpoena those documents from the medical office or the school, and it can kind of be a pain, or get somebody from there to come to the hearing, time is of the essence. So start there, okay? Then you want to think, if you can do the client homework, that's helpful. But if your lawyer doesn't give that to you, what you need to do is just sort of make a timeline or a bullet point list where your lawyer can go to a sheet or two and get the overall picture of this case. And I always tell my clients, convince me, right? Do and explain and gather information that will convince me that you should be the one who has the kid's primary. And if you think about it like that, that's what I'm gonna have to do, right? I'm gonna have to convince the judge that that's you. So gather up all your kid related information. You don't really need a bunch of pictures unless they're like pictures of abuse related things. I mean, that's a whole different, more complicated thing too. But you don't need 14 pictures of you and your kids, at the beach. Maybe your lawyer will use like one good picture to just give the judge an idea of who we're talking about here. And then if you have, any other incidents, let's say, that have happened, like big incidents that sort of demonstrate, obviously this is why, judge, I should have the kids or not. Do a write-up for your lawyer. Save yourself time and money on the phone telling them, and you'll tell them, you probably have to tell them again, right? Because sometimes they write it all down or get it all, or you may have to re-explain. But if you have it in a write-up like this long in an email with the facts, they can refer back to that every time they need, and that's going to save you money, okay? So the kid stuff, you want to get all the records. You want to think in terms of who does what in an average day. You want to think about if there's any big incidents, kind of chunking those out for your lawyer to be able to return to. So I know this is kind of a long one, but I think getting prepared for temporary orders is super duper important. And help your lawyer help you. If you just sort of wait till the last minute, 2 days before or a day before, and give it to them, they're not going to be able to do very much with it, right? You need time to go through this. Think about how you're going to get it in. Think about how it's going to work in a hearing. So if at all possible, I would say like a week before. If you don't have that much time, just ASAP to get it all ready. Okay, so that's a lot. Temporary orders are a big deal, but you can do it. And again, if we're here, it's because you need them, and it's worth the time and investment. All right, guys, have a great day.